In three, two, one.
I know, you see, somehow the world will change for me and be so wonderful. I'm done.
All right. Hey everybody, welcome back to another podcast of Not So Hipster. And as always, my name is Asiel Flores, and here joining me today, as he does every time we do this podcast, amazing podcast.
It's only been two times. It's only been
two times, but still, it seems like we've done it for a while. But here with me again is Eduardo Loo. Everybody say hi to Eduardo Loo.
No one's saying hi to me. They're like, this guy again? I didn't like his opinion on the iPhone 7 last week.
Hey, the iPhone 7 was pretty good. Was it worth it? Yes, it was worth it.
That's not what we're talking about today.
Today, we are hitting a subject that... Actually, not really a subject. It's a show. It's a show that's taken Netflix by storm. It has a 5-star on Netflix. It's like on IMDb, it's 9 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes has it about like a 90%, and that is Stranger Things. Now, fun fact about Stranger Things, my good friend here that's in the podcast, Eduardo, actually recommended it to me, didn't you, Edward?
That is correct. Just like you recommended Doctor Who and Sherlock, I got you into the Stranger Things fandom. A show that, much like Sherlock, gives you very little episodes and makes you wait a whole year, sometimes a year and a half, sometimes 2 years before you get another couple of episodes.
And, oh my goodness, okay.
Spoilers.
Before we go into this, let me just tell you guys that it's going to be a spoiler heavy podcast of Stranger Things. So if you have not watched it yet, please stop listening to this podcast. Go watch it and then come back and see what you think. If you agree with us, if you don't agree with us, or what we missed, or what you want us to talk about more and go more in detail. So let's jump right in, Edward. First of all, what did you think of Stranger Things?
I think Stranger Things is the perfect 80s show / movie that was never released in the 80s. I think the funniest thing about Stranger Things is that the directors and creators were born in the 80s. They didn't even get to live through the 80s. I think they're twins, and they were born in like 84 or something. And I think it's amazing when people devote so much of their time and energy. I appreciate the 80s a lot. My favorite TV show, Knight Rider, comes from the 80s. I've been heavily inspired by movies like Back to the Future, me wishing that 2015 was the future. I mean, I totally get what they're coming from, and I think they hit it out of the park, especially for people like me that wish there were more 80 things that we could like keep scratching into, and they gave us something from the 80s without even necessarily being from that time.
So yeah, so my initial thought, I came into this, I didn't know what it was about. First of all, I didn't even read I didn't go to IMDb or anything and read what it was about or the main character. I just went in fully blind, and it got me from the beginning. From the first 5 minutes, it got me. Oh my goodness. So what astonishes me is the kid actors are very hard to tell them what to do. They're very hard to work with, kid actors. And we've seen these, sometimes kid actors don't really respond that great to coaching. I'm getting this from, I don't know if you guys ever watched the Avatar, the Last Airbender, the movie. The kid actors, oh my goodness, they were really bad actors. I don't know if they were really bad or the script was really bad, but let's not dive into the topic right now.
It was definitely a little bit of everything.
Yeah, but the kid actors in this show were phenomenal, all of them. Even if some of the some of the script or something was really easy to memorize, but they hit it out of the park. They really did with this. And like you said, like, it does pay homage to the 80s, even though the two directors were born in the 80s. They didn't live in the 80s. They lived through the 90s like we did.
Did we?
Well, I did.
Did we?
I did. You caught the tail end of the 90s.
Yeah.
So we start with, they're downstairs and they're playing Dungeons and Dragons. And this is a really, really cool way to start.
No, that's not how it starts.
It's not? Remember how it
No,
starts?
it starts off with a scientist
That's
running
right.
in a hallway
That's right.
with
That's right.
twitching lights.
That's right.
He runs to an elevator. He's panicking. He's looking back, making sure nothing's chasing him. He gets into the elevator, right? Which, by the way, longest mother-loving elevator in the history of elevators. He gets in. He presses the button. 15 seconds go by. It won't close. And only to find out that the alien monster creature thing is above him, snatches him. Roll intro, and you're like, what is this show? Someone please explain.
Exactly.
That's how
thought.
it gets you.
So what I thought when I saw that, and then I saw the kids playing Dungeons and Dragons, I thought that they were acting out what the kids were playing. But then I'm like, wait, that's not it. You know, I thought it was that. Like, the TV show was acting out what the kids were doing, but the kids were playing in some other mythical world. They're Dungeons and Dragons, so it wasn't that. So I'm like, what the heck is going on? I had the same exact feeling. And then,
which, by the way, the game of Dungeons and Dragons pretty much foreshadows the entire show.
Yeah.
If you pay close attention, if you know how the game works, and if you watch it a second time around, I watched episodes 1 through 4 with my mom, and then my dad's jumped on the bandwagon. So we rewatched episodes 1 through 4 through 6, I think. And if you pay close attention, where Will is reluctant to shoot the fireball, and he panics, is the exact same thing that happens to him with the what do you call it? The creature thing. Yeah, the Demogorgon.
Or Gorgon.
Because he also like loads up a gun, but he never fires it or anything. At the beginning of the show. Anyway, this whole show is incredible. We're not going to go into detail. We're not breaking down the show, Asiel.
No, we're not breaking
We don't
down
do that
the
here. It is way too long. There are so many great things. I will say, though, this show is incredibly well written. You look at it on Netflix and you're like, 8 episodes. Why is it only 8 episodes? And then you watch it and then you realize there is no filler. There is no story that you don't care about. I was watching these guys. Hopefully we'll link it to. I'll send you the link. That way you can include it in the description. But it's these guys who broke down the story and why we care for it so much. Because we see it from the point of view of the sheriff and the mother who are worried about Will. And you look at that from the adult side of it. You look at it from the kid's point of view. That's pretty much looking at the mythos of the show and how it works with the introduction of Elle, with the introduction of the Upside Down. And then you look at it from the perspective of, what was her name? Steve's girlfriend...
her name was I got it right here. It was
knows her name.
It was give me a second.
Mike's sister.
Yeah. Nancy,
thank you. You see it from Nancy and Steve and Jonathan. And their point of view is kind of this external point of view because they're like, what is going on? We know that this kid's missing, but that's pretty much all that we know. So it really ties up together because there is no point of view not described in the show or not written into the show.
And then what also this show does good is that they not only have one storyline, they have like multiple storylines going on at the same time, and they all involve, and then they all go together, which is really hard to pull off.
At first, I thought that the Nancy Steve storyline was like, oh well, this is gonna be the filler of the story. But no, you look at it in once you finish the show, you're like, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I get it.
It's like that. It's what Game of Thrones does so well is that they can have multiple storylines around Westeros and they're all playing out, and they make you care about all those storylines. And this is what this show does really good, is that they make you care not only about Will, that he's lost and where the hell is he, but they also make you care about Elle. They make you care about the families. They make you care about the mom. Then they make you care about the sheriff, because the sheriff also has an interesting backstory, and it plays into Elle, and it plays into the Upside Down. It plays into everything, which is really good, and I really appreciate how writers can do that. And me being a writer, it's amazing to see how these guys write and pull off stories that we just get so engulfed in.
Point is, I mean, I don't think we can praise this show enough, but I think it's the best show that I've seen thus far this year. I know that the Emmys just happened. I hope they win an Emmy next year for something. I mean, these kids were amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, well, it is 8 episodes, so it might be like a mini series,
Yeah,
best
something
mini
like that.
series. Because I think to have a full series, you have to have more, like you have to have a certain type of episodes, as I believe. Anyway, so I did touch on the kid actors. What is your point? What how did you see these actors? Because the main actors here are the kids. They are the main protagonists of the story. So, what did you think of how these guys acted? Not only them by themselves, but them when they're together. You know, because I felt that they had really good connection, and I felt that they had a really good connection also off camera. That way, and that translated on camera, with the Lucas getting mad at Mike for trusting Elmore, and then that one kid with the Dustin with the two missing front teeth, and I thought their chemistry on screen was really good, which I believe their chemistry off screen was also really really good, and it translated. So what was your thought in all that?
I think that when you give kids a realistic role, they will act their best out of it because it's what they know how to do. These characters didn't seem like they were some far off, outlandish, you're like, I would never say something like that. This would never happen in real life. A perfect example of it, and I hate to bring it up because they're two of the directors that I appreciate the most. But in Super 8, a movie very similar to this plot, where there are kids, there's a monster, there's a train, there's a small town, whatever, those kids were put into making adult situations because their characters were formed as adults, but played out by kids. There was a couple of romances I think there was going on, and you don't really understand why it's going on. The characters, whenever they talk, you're like, this is not what a kid would be saying. On the other hand, Stranger Things, what it does really well is that it portrays kids as kids. If you're going to have kid actors, let the kids act how they would act. And from what I've been hearing and reading into it, the directors pretty much had an outline of the script. And they're all like, they sat with the kids down before all this. And that's, I think, why they had so much good chemistry, because they did spend a lot of time rehearsing. And from what I've been reading, the directors would sit with them. They're like, here's what we have written down. How would you say this? And they would pretty much build a second, third, fourth draft from there, with now the implemented versions of these kids. So I think it has a lot to do with the directing, and that's why these kids were so believable as kids, which is what they were.
Yeah, and talking about romances, I'm really glad that they didn't push that Mike L romance, because they easily could have done that.
I thought it was the cutest
it was
thing.
There.
I thought it was the cutest thing in the last episode.
It was. They didn't push it, but it was natural.
It was really natural.
It was natural.
It was really natural.
It wasn't a forced relationship that sometimes directors or writers do, which kind of kills the mood. So in this one, it was like a little kid having a crush. It was literally a crush. It wasn't like, oh, I love her, I want to spend the rest of my time with her.
And both of them, the coolest part of that was that both of them didn't know what was going on. He was trying to explain it to her because she really didn't have any like human-kid interaction. He was trying to understand it himself, so it translated as a very natural kid thing, which is like, I'm a guy, you're a girl. Adults marry in the end, but how am I supposed to be feeling? Is this normal? I thought the cutest thing was at the end where Mike and her are talking about, after this is all done, you should move in with us. And she's like, so I could be like your sister? He's like, no, not like my sister. And she's all confused for a second, and he tries to explain. Sweetest thing ever. I think we should move on to our thoughts for next season, because it's been confirmed. Yeah. And they've given us the titles of the 9 episodes that take place a year after the current events of this last one.
Yeah, I got it. Mad Max, the boy who came back to life, the pumpkin patch, the palace, the storm, the brain, the lost brother.
Correct. So I have a theory about that last one, the lost brother.
First of all, let's see. Okay, so the season ends where they find Will in the upside down. They bring him back. They kill the monster, but then you see.
Well, you're
Will,
missing. You're missing. You're missing a part.
Like he's washing his hands, or I don't know what. Remember what he's doing?
No, you're missing a part.
I am. He's washing his hands.
Well, while they're killing
Which part am I missing?
the monster, Elle just disappears. You didn't mention that.
Yeah.
Elle disappears.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. No.
That is part of the end.
Well, this is like
that is part of the end because she's not gone. She's not dead.
I know.
Did you not watch all the way through? So after,
I did.
Clearly you didn't. So after they, after that, after that whole scene, the big fight, we're treated to a month later, 3 months later. 3 months later? A month later.
A month later.
It's Christmas time. Everyone is having a grandiose time for Christmas. Nancy and Steve get Jonathan a new camera as to kind of making up for it. We see them being together. We go meet Will at his house. He's about to have dinner. His mom tells him to go wash up. By the way, they play one last game of Dungeons and Dragons and they win this time,
which lasts 10 hours.
That lasts
crazy.
10 hours, whatever. And there's a couple of things that are mentioned there that people are saying, well, they didn't touch on this, they didn't touch on that, they didn't touch on that. We'll get back to that maybe later, maybe we won't touch on it. Again, there's going to be a video down there that touches on all the topics that I'm pretty much touching on now, but way better explained. Will goes to the restroom to wash up. He sneezes or coughs up like a slug-looking thing.
It was that thing that was in his throat
the monster
when they found him at
bread
the upside
thing.
down.
Yeah. And he then coughs it up, and he transitions between worlds to the upside down.
So he's now a shadow walker, or whatever that's called.
Yeah, shadow walker, and then they twitch back. He goes back. His mom's like, "Are you okay?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm fine. No worry." Then we go to the Christmas party that's being held at the sheriff's office, the police station. Thank you. Mm-hmm. And we see the sheriff clocking out. He's like, "I'm gonna take home because I'm gonna eat it at home or whatever." They're like, "Ha, sex joke here." I think. We see the cop driving. He stops somewhere. He goes into the woods. He puts the food inside of a box container thing, and he puts down waffles. That means
Eggos.
Sorry, Eggos. That means 11 is out there. She did not sacrifice herself. She is alive.
She loves Eggos. I forgot about the part. Those are her favorite food, and I found it. I think the part that I found the most funny was when she gets kicked out of the group, or she decides to leave the group, and she goes to that grocery store, and she just walks in, and she uses her powers to smash the door and walks out with Eggos.
Exactly.
Out of everything, she walks out with Eggos because those are her favorite things. But also another thing I want to mention, that what I also found interesting about the episodes, that they weren't called episode 1. It was chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3.
Correct.
So I don't know if that plays something into Stranger Things, or I don't know if I'm reading it too much into it, or they're trying to make it feel like a book where it's not episodes but it's chapters.
So what some people may have noticed is that there was references to a lot of 80 things, whether it be the walkie-talkie, the Dungeons and Dragons, whatever. The cars. The font that they use for the Stranger Things logo is a very common font that Stephen King uses in his books. And so the title sequence and the naming of the chapters is an homage to the very popular 80s book series that Stephen King wrote. And that's pretty much it. It's not like it's a continuous story or whatever. For example, in Jane the Virgin, every episode is also named Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3. But that's because the main character, Jane, is a writer. So you're like, oh, well, it would make sense that her life in her head would be out of chapters. But here, it's purely done as a reference.
So, season 2.
Speculation.
So, I know that Will's going to play a big part in season 2. I don't know.
Something that he didn't do in season 1 because he wasn't here.
Yeah, I don't know if because the laboratory is still working, even if the main scientist has died. He got eaten by that Gorgon, or that monster
Demogorgon.
thing. Demogorgon. There it is. He got killed by that the Demogorgon, but I'm pretty sure that the facility, the scientific facility, still has or has at least scientists that can take over if anybody dies. So I believe it's still gonna be open. I believe they can still be open because they did sign, or the sheriff and the mom, they did say that if we do get Will out, we'll just get him out and we won't mention who you are or how we got him or what this place is. So I'm pretty sure that the place is still gonna be up and running. So I don't know if maybe another monster is gonna come out. They're gonna make another monster, or if Will somehow becomes a tear, because what Will is, he's a tear in the space-time continuum.
Right.
Hashtag Flash. Anyways, he's a tear in the space-time continuum. So if they can play on that because for that to happen, it has to have a place has to have mega times like a whole bunch of energy. So maybe either somebody takes taken again, or Will becomes the person that pretty much screws everything up. It's gonna be one of those two, I think.
I don't think it's gonna be another monster because they've done that story, and I don't think the Duffer Brothers rehash stories, just like they don't have any fat in their story.
Yeah. So he's gonna. All I know is that Will's gonna be a major player in the second season. What are your speculations on that?
I only have one speculation, and that is to the last episode called The Lost Brother. I have a theory.
All right, let's hear. All right, guys, we are heading into that zone.
The Twilight
the theory zone.
Oh, interesting.
Anyway,
I think
let's hear it.
I think that 11 isn't the only one out there with these capabilities. And I think that the Lost Brother is going to be someone who is coming back for revenge after the death of the bald guy, and not the bald guy, the white-haired man. Or the point is, he's actually like loyal or whatever. You know what I mean?
To the scientific program.
To the scientific program. We don't know what it is yet. I think that's the Lost Brother.
Yeah. Or maybe playing on that, because remember, this was the 80s, the time this was during that not the Cold War. The Cold War was earlier, but this was during those times when it was still tense between Russia, U.S. There was all Cuba. So, maybe also there's other scientific facilities like this.
Like
and
something very similar to what they did in Lost. In Lost, they had that whole thing in the island. They were different like subsections to different things that they were experimenting on. Yeah, I could see that.
Mm-hmm. So something like that with the Lost Brother, but I can see they doing something like that. I think you're onto something with your theory, but let's leave it up to the directors, because
hey, Duffer Brothers, you should contact me. I'd love for you to pick my brain. I think you're amazing. You're doing what I wish I could do. I'm trying to revive Knight Rider for the last 17 years of my existence.
But anyways, you guys have to go watch this series. It's an amazing series. I cannot wait for season 2. Have they announced when they're gonna start? Have they already start shooting?
No, they're looking for extras currently, but they start shooting like from what I heard, they were doing it. I actually don't know. It's supposed to take place in October, so they're gonna be doing a Halloween theme, because this one was like Christmassy.
Yeah.
Sorry. Next season will be more Halloween-esque.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. So, again, Stranger Things season 1 has 8 chapters. You should go watch them. My personal rating: this is a 10. This is completely a 10 out of 10. This is a 10 for me. This is one of those few shows that gets it right.
I agree completely.
In everything that they do, whether it be multiple storylines going on, kid actors that are main. They're not only they're all kid actors, but they're the main actors in this whole season and show, which is really hard to do, but they do it beautifully well. And I can't wait for season 2. Any last thoughts, Edward?
I love it. That's it.
Right. So now we're gonna divert a little bit on a. We're gonna take a little road, a little diversion, and explain a little something. So this is gonna be not so hipster podcast things. We are gonna upload Wednesday and Friday of this week. Next week is gonna be a little hard, just because I'm moving to California for a job that I got in California. So I'm gonna be moving up there, or down there, I guess, wherever you guys live. But so we will upload this Wednesday and this Friday. Next Wednesday and next Friday will be a little iffy, but like always, follow us on our social medias, like the Not So Hipster Facebook page, so to keep up to date with everything we're doing. And Edward, did you want to say something?
There's a lot of things I want to say. First of all, I'd like to thank the Academy for this award. You old white men really do love your good movies, am I right? No. There's just a couple of things that I'd like to mention. If you'd like to check out some of my content, youtube.com/ledits. That's where I try.
It sucks. Just kidding. It's really good.
Your mom. I try to upload once a week. It's been getting harder with school lately, but ideally, there's going to be cool things up there soon. I'm working on a couple of special projects. I think I'm going to tease one out here because I don't know who's going to listen to this, but if they've made it this far, they deserve something. I saw a post after Civil War came out, which was, who would you cast as your 80s Captain America Civil War? And there were a whole bunch of different actors who I really like. And I decided that I'm going to be making an 80s version of Captain America Civil War, a trailer based off that. So that's going to be coming out soon. I'm working on a Young Justice trailer that's going to be coming out before Christmas. And then in unrelated sort of news, in that same channel, I'm working, much like the Duffer Brothers embracing their 80s nostalgia, I'm embracing my time travel nostalgia, and I've been writing a short story, not much of a novel, more of a short story, based around time travel. It's called Tachyon. Currently working on the story right now. Asiel's looked at it. He says it's not half bad. It's not that good, but it's not half bad. And I want to develop that into a motion novel, something that might be a completely new genre. I'm good with some VFX, mainly the ones that stay completely still. So the idea of this story or video or movie or short film or episodic thing will be that it's going to be kind of like a picture book, to where not always will the characters be moving. Ideally, I'll have a trailer up soon, and then on something completely different, something more live action. In January, I will be, God willing, I will have the pleasure to visiting the beautiful city of Washington, D.C. for the presidential inauguration, in which I will be assisting with a bunch of my classmates to go to this very, very popular event. But at the same time, I will be working on a documentary for them with them. They will have their own version that stays on for school purposes, internal school purposes, and I will be creating my own, so you guys can join me as I go to this event that I remember when I was younger and I saw President Obama being oath into office or whatever, and I thought it was really cool. That, and I've never been to the city of Washington, D.C., and I think that's pretty much it. We hope that you guys enjoy these podcasts. We enjoy talking to one another. Asiel and I love to talk to one another. And the reason why at the beginning he's like, it feels like we've been doing this for years, is because literally every time we talk, it kind of turns into our own podcast for ourselves.
It does.
We come up with these really cool and interesting topics without really needing to. So Asiel's finally like, hey, you want to do a podcast? I'm like, I'd love to do a podcast. So that's why this is here. And hopefully, at least we can have once a week. Ideally, we'll have once a week during this transition. But make sure you follow us on social media. Asiel, what's your social media? Where can they find you best?
So my social media, you can find me best on Twitter at Asiel Asiel 91. That's my Twitter handle, and on Instagram I'm Asiel Flores 16. Asiel Flores 16. If you're a Spanish listener. And Edward, where can they find you?
Anywhere you guys want to find me, I'm at Chuntillo. CHUNTILLO. That's Twitter. That's Instagram. That's Snapchat. That's Pinterest. That's Photo. That's Facebook. Any social media that you can think of, I'm probably there under Chuntillo. Make sure you follow us. Asiel's going to be doing some traveling, so I expect good pictures on his road trip to there.
I will take pictures. So again,
with your iPhone 7?
With my iPhone 7s Edge plus 85,000 gigs.
Will it explode?
It won't explode because it's not a Samsung.
Boom!
Let's
Roasted.
go. So remember, follow us on all of our social media pages. Stay up to date. Remember to like and subscribe to this channel. Like our Facebook page, Not So Hipster on Facebook. You will see it's the only Not So Hipster podcast on Facebook. So you can find it really easy. And like that page, and to keep up with everything we're doing, we're gonna upload some awesome content there as well. As always, my name is Asiel Flores.
And my name is Eduardo Loo.
Thanks again for watching, and we will catch you next time.